Okay, chapter 26 of the Westing game, titled Turtle's Trial. Who was furious? Haven't we had enough game playing, he complained, and led by a confessed bomber no less? Judge Ford rapped for silence with the walnut gavel presented to her by associates on her appointment to a higher court. Higher court? This was the lowest court she had ever presided at. A 13-year-old lawyer, a court stenographer who records in Polish, and a judge in African robes. Oh well, she had played Sam Westing's game, now she would play Turtle's game. The similarity was astounding. Turtle not only looked like her Uncle Sam, she acted like him. Ladies and gentlemen, Turtle began, I stand before this court to prove that Samuel W. Westing is dead, and that Sandy McSuthers is dead, but Crow didn't do it. Pacing the floor, hands behind her back, she confronted each of the heirs in turn with a hard stare. The heirs stared back, not knowing if they were the jury or the accused. Grace Wexler blinked at her daughter. Who's that? The district attorney, Jake replied. Go back to sleep. Now frowning, now smiling a secret smile, Turtle acted the part of every brilliant lawyer she had seen on television who was about to win an impossible case. The only flaw in her imitation was an occasional rapid twist of her head. She liked the grown-up feeling of shorter hair swishing around her face. Let me begin at the beginning, she began. On September 1st, we moved into Sunset Towers. 2 months later, on Halloween, smoke was seen rising from the chimney of the deserted Westing house. Her first witness would be the person most likely to have watched the house that day. I call Chris Theodorkus to the stand. Chris lay a calm hand on the Bible and swore to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. What fun. You are a bird watcher, Mr. Theodorkus, are you not? Yes. Were you bird watching on October 31st? Yes. Did you see anyone enter the Westing house? I saw somebody who limped. Good, now she was getting somewhere. Who was that limping person? It was Dr. Sykes. Thank you. You are excused. Turtle turned to her audience. Dr. Sykes was Sam Westing's friend, a witness to the will, and his accomplice in this game. On the day in question, he limped into the Westing house to build a fire in the fireplace. Why? Our next witness might answer that. Judge Ford instructed the witness to remove his aviator's helmet. His gray beard was tousled but barbered. And place your gun in the custody of the court. Oh my! Flora Baumbach gasped as Otis Amber unzipped his plastic jacket, pulled a revolver from his shoulder holster, and handed it over to the judge, who locked the gun in her desk drawer. Turtle was as startled as the other tenants. Mr. Amber, she began bravely, it seems you are not it seems that we are not all who we say we are. In other words, who exactly are you? I'm a licensed private investigator. Then why are you disguised as an idiot delivery boy? It was my disguise. Turtle was dealing with a practice witness. Mr. Amber, who employed you? That's privileged information, the judge interceded. It would be best to cooperate, Mr. Amber, for Crow's sake. I had the 3 clients, Samuel W. Westing, Barney Northrup, and Judge J.J. Ford. Turtle stumbled over her next question. What were you hired to do, and when, and what did you find out? Tell us everything you know. It was unsettling to see Otis Amber act like a normal human being. 20 years ago, after his wife left him, Samuel W. Westing hired me to find Crow, keep her out of trouble, and make sure she never used the Westing name. I assumed this disguise for that purpose. I mailed my reports and received a monthly check from the Westingtown Bank until last week, when I was notified that my services were no longer needed. But Crow still needs me, and I'll stick with her no matter what. I've grown fond of the woman. We've been together such a long time. How and why did Barney Northrup hire you? Amber is second in the phone book under private investigators. Maybe Joe Aaron's phone was busy that day. Anyhow, Barney Northrup wanted me to investigate 6 people. What 6? Judge J.J. Ford, George Theodorkus, James Hood, Gracie Winclopple, Flora Baumbach, and Sybil Pulaski. I made a mistake in the last one. I wasn't aware of the mix-up until I looked into Crow's early life for the judge. It seems I confused a Sybil Pulaski with a Seidel Pulaski." "Would you repeat that?" the court stenographer asked. "Seidel Pulaski," Otis Amber repeated, then turned to the judge. "I couldn't tell you about Crow's relationship to Sam Westing. Conflict of interest. You understand." Judge Ford understood very well. Sam Westing had predicted every move she would make. That's why Otis Amber, with his privileged information, was one of the heirs. That and to convince Crow, the queen, to play the game. Turtle had more questions. "Are you saying that Barney Northrop didn't ask you to investigate Denton Deer or Crow or Sandy?" "That's right. Denton Deer turned up in my report on Gracie Winclopple, the Wexlers. Barney Northrop said he was looking to hire a cleaning woman for Sunset Towers. Good pay in a small apartment, so I recommended Crow. I don't know how Sandy got the doorman's job." "Mr. Amber, were you also hired by Judge Ford? You were also hired by Judge Ford, I assume, to find out who everybody really was. Did you investigate all 16 heirs for the judge?" "I didn't investigate the judge or her partner." The judge bristled at the reminder of her stupidity. "Therefore," Turtle continued, "you have never investigated the man we knew as Sandy McSuthers for any of your clients?" "Never." "One more question." It was the question she had planned to ask before learning that Otis Amber was not who he seemed to be. "On the afternoon of Halloween, when you were watching the smoke in the Westinghouse chimney, you told a story about a corpse on an Oriental rug." "I saw it!" Grace Wexler cried. "I saw him!" Turtle forgot the rules of the court and hurried to her mother. "Who did you see, Mom? Who?" Terrified by the who's, Madame Who slipped away. "The doorman," Grace replied, lifting her dazed face to her husband. "He was dead on an Oriental rug, Jake. It was awful." Jake stroked her wife's hair. "I know, Gracie, I know." Turtle returned to her witness. "Mr. Amber, did you tell that spooky story to dare one of us to go to the Westinghouse that night?" "Not really. Sandy told me this story that morning, and we decided to scare you kids with it, being Halloween." "Thank you, Mr. Amber. You may step down." Step down was a term used in court. The floor was level here. Turtle was turned to her baffled audience. A fire was started in the fireplace to call attention to the deserted house. Then a spooky story was told to dare someone to go inside the house. That someone was me. I sneaked in the house, followed by Dr. Sykes' whispers, and found the corpse of Samuel W. Westing in bed. I now call D. Denton Deer to the stand. Turtle stared at her most unfavorite heir. "Intern Deer, you saw the body of Samuel W. Westing in the coffin. Did he appear to have been poisoned?" "I could not say. He was embalmed." "You are under oath, Intern Deer. Do you swear the body of Samuel W. Westing was embalmed?" What kind of a trick question was that? "I cannot swear to it. No, I did not examine the body in the coffin." "Could the body in the coffin, which you did not examine, have been no body at all? Could it have been a wax dummy dressed in the costume of Uncle Sam?" "I am not an expert on wax dummies." "Yes or no?" "Yes, it's possible. Anything is possible." What's the brat driving at? Or is she trying to make a fool of me? "Intern Deer, you may not be an expert in wax dummies, but you are an expert in medical diagnoses. And you did examine the body of Sandy McSuthers, correct?" "Yes to the first question. No to the second. I did not examine Sandy. I tried to make him comfortable until help arrived. He was still alive when Dr. Sykes took over." Turtle turned quickly to conceal her smile. "But surely you saw enough symptoms to make one of your famous diagnoses." She peered at the judge from the corner of her eye. That last word didn't sound right. "Coronary thrombosis," the intern diagnosed, "but that's just an educated guess. In simple language, heart attack." "Then Sandy could not have died of an overdose of lemon juice, which is what I saw Crow put in his flask?" Turtle could have called on Angela to testify to that, but she didn't want her screwy sister confessing all over the place. "I never heard of anyone dying as a result of lemon juice consumption," the expert replied. "One more question, Intern Deer. Do you swear that Sandy had a bruise on his shin resulting from a kick?" "Absolutely. I should know, having been the recipient of such a kick myself." "You may step down." I call Seidel Pulaski to the stand." "Seidel Pulaski!" Overcome with excitement, the secretary had to be helped to her feet for the oath-taking. Ms. Pulaski, I must compliment you on your good thinking in taking down the will in shorthand. Professional habit. This looks professional, all right. The typing is perfect. Well, almost perfect. It seems you left out the last word in section 3. The estate is at the crossroads. The heir who wins the windfall will be the one who finds the... Finds the what, Ms. Pulaski? Finds the what? Seidel squirmed under Turtle's hard stare. Leave it to the brat to discover my one error. There was so much talking I couldn't hear the last word. Come now, Ms. Pulaski, you claim to be a professional. Hounding the witness, and doing it quite well, Judge Ford thought, coming to the secretary's defense. I don't think anyone heard the word, Turtle. Mr. McSuthers made a joke about ashes at that point. You are excused, Miss Pulaski, Turtle said offhandedly, her eyes on the will. The judge was right. Sandy had joked about the ashes, scattered to the winds. Windy Windclopple. No, it still didn't make sense. It is not what you have, it's what you don't have that counts. Maybe no word was ever there. She read on. Fourth, hail to thee, O land of opportunity. You have made me the son of poor immigrants, rich, powerful, and respected. So take stock in America, my heirs, and sing in praise of this generous land. You too may strike it rich who dares play the Westing game. Fifth, sit down, your honor, and read the letter this brilliant young attorney will now hand over to you. Judge Ford, could you introduce as evidence the letter that brilliant young attorney handed over to you? It is just the usual certificate of sanity, signed by Dr. Sykes. The judge replied, as she removed the envelope from her files, but the letter was gone. The envelope now contained a receipt. Check received November 1st, $5,000. Check received November 15th, $5,000. Total amount paid by Judge Ford, $10,000. Cost of educating Josie Joe Ford, minus $10,000. Amount owed to Sam Westing, 0. I'm afraid the original letter has been replaced by a personal message. It has no bearing on this case, and... Yes, please, a trembling Madame Hu stood before the judge. For to go to China? She said timidly, setting a scarf-tied bundle on the desk. Weeping softly, the thief shuffled back to her seat. The judge unknotted the scarf and let the flowered silk float around the booty. Her father's railroad watch, a pearl necklace, cufflinks, a pin and earring set, a clock. Grace Wexler's silver cross never did turn up. My pearls! Flora Baumbach exclaimed with delight. Wherever did you find them, Madame Hu? I'm so grateful. Madame Hu did not understand why the little round lady was smiling at her. Cautiously she peered through her fingers. Oh, the other people did not smile. They know she is bad, and Mr. Hu, his anger is drowned in shame. Perhaps stealing is not considered stealing in China, Seidel Pulaski said in a clumsy gesture of kindness. The judge rapped her a gavel. Let us continue with the case on hand. Are you ready, counselor? Yes, Your Honor. In a minute. Turtle approached the frightened thief. Here, you can keep it. With shaking hands, Madame Hu took the Mickey Mouse clock from Turtle and clutched the priceless treasure to her bosom. Thank you, good girl. Thank you, thank you. That's okay. The heirs were anxious for the trial to continue. They pitied the poor woman, but the scene was embarrassing. We are going to stop here because I'm going to run out of time to video, and make sure you watch part 2 of this chapter.